Thank you very much. Minister, I want to ask, what initiatives have you undertaken to boost the credit unions? Thank you.
Again, I want to thank Deputy Jennifer Murnane from raising this particular issue here today, because we know the very important role credit unions played right throughout Irish society, and I think it's one of the most trusted brands by the people of Ireland when it comes to dealing with their financial affairs. So there are a number of commitments set out in the programme for government, including a review of the policy framework in which credit unions operate. As part of the review, the Department has had extensive engagement with the credit union representative bodies since September 2020 to seek feedback on their key priorities for the sector. I've personally met with representatives of the sector. Different groups in the sector have made different proposals, and I'm examining each and every one of them individually with the staff in the Department of Finance. In terms of supporting and enabling the sector to grow, the following are some recent developments in relation to lending and investment regulations, SME lending, access to finance for retrofit, current accounts and investment in improved housing bodies. The Central Bank has in recent years completed reviews of both the lending and investment frameworks, and since January of last year, credit unions now have a combined capacity to provide £1.1 billion in SME and mortgage loans, with additional lending capacity available for credit unions who can comply with certain conditions on the approval of the Central Bank. As at December 2020, credit unions had combined mortgage and SME loans of 344%, an increase in 12% on the previous year. But I again say there's tremendous scope for them to continue to doing that. I welcome the announcement that 19 credit unions, supported by the League of Credit Unions, CUDO and Matamo, have been approved by the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment for participation in the COVID-19 Credit Guarantee Scheme. This is a tremendous opportunity for credit unions to be able to obtain low finance at low cost, where the state guarantees 80% of the actual loan, so the risk to the credit union is very low, and they can give out unsecured loans up to €200,000. It's a fabulous scheme, and I would encourage as many credit unions to take up and participate in this scheme as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Minister. And as you know, I'm a big fan of credit unions, and I know in Carlow, my own area there, they do so much good work. But I would have to ask you about the levies. That has been a concern of mine with the levies that you have on the credit unions. And we all know now with COVID, and it has been extremely hard for people, that people were trying to save an extra few pounds. And, you know, like the credit union has funding now, Minister, so it is important that you look at mortgages across all the credit unions. I know that some credit unions are able to give out mortgages, but there's some that's not, and that is a concern for me. And my understanding, Minister, is 18 months ago, actually, you changed some of the loan criteria, because Carlow originally had a loan of 25 years. That's now changed to 10 years. It's 100,000 you can borrow up to over 10 years, not 25 years. Now, I would have concerns about that too. So even though I know, we all know the great work the credit union is doing, but I would ask you, Minister, to look at these issues, because they are issues. And, you know, people depend on the credit union. It's very much a community-based.
Thank you, Deputy.
So I would ask that you look at these issues. Yeah, thank you.
Again, I want to thank Deputy Murnane for pursuing the issue on behalf of credit unions, and she mentions the one in her own hometown. And I will say it's important to note that 51 credit unions, representing approximately 50% of the sector in financial terms, currently have approval to provide current accounts and debit cards. This is really the way forward. They must be able to meet the modern day requirements, and I would encourage the other credit unions in the sector to move that area. Some of the credit unions actually have a current account and cards, but it only allows a credit union member to withdraw cash from certain ATM machines. I would like the credit union movement to have cards that you can use in any ATM machine of any financial institution, and getting more people using credit union facilities, I think, will actually help them grow. And I do say, really what I want to see with the credit union and system in every way possible is lending out more money. They have a surplus of savings and deposits. It's important now they lend out so they can earn a good growth on the loans that they actually give out and earn income into the future. Thank you.
that. And it is so important, as you said, that it is important as the government that we encourage credit unions to give out loans, because there is funding there. And that has to be looked at. And I mean, more than ever now, we see the housing crisis. We see a lot of people have invested in their homes over COVID because they've been painting or they've been buying things. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we need to encourage. So I would ask you that we would work with the credit unions a bit more on what maybe we could do to give out more loans and how the criteria is. Because my understanding even is now with the government itself that there is a criteria of when the credit unions are investing, on where they can invest and what they invest in. And I think that needs to be looked at. So even though I welcome the good work that's been done on all sides, but I just think there are issues there that needs to be addressed. As I said, we're all blessed with all the credit unions across the country. They do an excellent job, but they have money, Minister, and we've got to make sure that that money gets out to the communities. We cannot have any barriers, and I would ask you that there be no barriers put in front of any credit union. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank the Deputy, and I agree wholeheartedly what she's saying about the strength of the credit union movement throughout the country, and definitely they have held in very high esteem. What I will also say, you mentioned levies earlier on. Minister Donoghue last year, towards the end of last year, signed an order dramatically reducing the levies payable by credit unions from this year onwards. It was one of the biggest single reductions they've ever achieved. We've assisted the credit union with legislation here to allow them hold a virtual meeting, which wasn't provided for in legislation up to now. And I think practically every credit union in the country has now actually held its AGM. Practically every single one of them were held in a virtual manner, which never had happened to here before. I would finally say that with the closure of Bank of Ireland branches in Ulster Bank throughout the country, I think the credit unions in many towns throughout the country, they are actually going to be the only financial institution left standing, and there's a tremendous opportunity for them to increase their level of business in their local communities now that other banks are closing their branches. And I think there is a tremendous opportunity here for the credit union to meet with the business people, and especially the SME and retail sector, to provide loans that they need to do to earn interest to continue to grow and prosper.
Thank you, Minister.